tolerance and fanaticism. The same culture that is infecting the whole Middle East and is radiating hatred and abomination. The same culture that threatens world peace and stability. The same culture that breeds terrorism everywhere. Regarding human rights, Lebanon is one of the founders of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in 1948. Lebanon was renowned around the world for its embracement of the principles of human dignity and civil liberties. But not anymore. Since 1990, and after the total military invasion by Syria, there has been a significant deterioration in the state of democracy and human rights in Lebanon. Leaders of the opposition were ruthlessly persecuted and silenced through jailing, such as the case of Dr. Sami Jaja. Dr. Sami Jaja, the leader of one of the largest Christian parties in Lebanon, the Lebanese Forces Party. And to forced exiles, such as the case of General Michel Aoun, the former Christian Prime Minister. Political activists opposed to Syria are threatened and harassed. Political parties, human rights organizations, gatherings, and sometimes religious services are banned. Even foreign nationals. And I give here the foreign officials, and I give you the example of Mr. Oscar Nilsson. He's a member of the Swedish parliament who was declared persona non grata and banned last week from entering Lebanon because he mentioned the Syrian military presence in Lebanon. The media is muffled. TV stations are forcefully shut down or severely penalized when critical of Syria. Individual freedoms are constantly violated. Arbitrary arrest, illegal detention, torture, death under torture are becoming routine practice. And last but not least, the attacks of freedom and democracy is the rise of religious violence and persecution. These tragedies, my friend, are not unique to Lebanon. This horror is unfortunately familiar to all of us Middle Easterns. It's an epidemic ravaging the whole region. Ladies and gentlemen, the cure for the Middle East malice of terror is to bring back freedom and democracy to the people, uphold the Constitution and respect the rule of law, protect individual freedom and civil liberties, release all political prisoners, allow political parties to exist and participate in the political debate, organize free and fair elections, and solve the problem of refugees, all refugees, Palestinians, Sudanese, and ultimately to establish a political system that guarantees true balance and power sharing in governance and a fair and equal participation of religious cultural components of the society and running the affairs of the nation. Regarding Lebanon, the current interference in Lebanese affairs by Syria and its ally Iran has been preventing any solution from materializing, and it's not surprising. How could we expect from a dictatorship ruling one country to promote democracy in another? Fortunately, today, and thanks to the better understanding of the Lebanese situation by the United States and by Europe, in particular France, and influenced by opinions and the expressed will of the citizens of Lebanese origin, Lebanese Americans, Lebanese Europeans, a resolution was passed in the United Nations Security Council, Resolution 1559, which calls for the withdrawal of all foreign forces, the disarming of all militias, the respect of the Lebanese Constitution, and the rectification of the electoral process. So now let us vote. So here we witness two modes of foreign interventions in the fate of a nation. One from regimes that oppress freedom and nurture a culture of corruption and terror, and one from the nations of the free world that strives to restore sovereignty and establish the rule of law. Like most members of this gathering, I'm a naturalized citizen, immigrant from the Middle East. I left Lebanon with a lot of my colleagues fleeing persecution and oppression. The United States offered me and all of us a lot more than we expected. Our vision of the land of the free was far exceeded by the impressiveness of this reality. Our belief in the values that made this country great facilitated our integration in this generous society. This nation, our nation, is the nation of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. our nation, is the nation of justice for all. So we, as Lebanese Americans and as Middle Eastern Americans, are heartened to hear the determined stance of America expressed so clearly by the President's doctrine that, and I'm quoting, America will always stand firm for the non-negotiable demands of human dignity, the rule of law, limits on the power of the states, respect for women, private property, free speech, equal justice, and religious tolerance. We feel rejoiced when we listen to the President's saying that, and I'm quoting, for too long, American policy looked away while men and women were oppressed, their rights ignored, and their hopes stifled. But that era is over, that liberty will overcome oppression in the Middle East, and that the message to those who long for liberty and those who work for reform is that they can be certain they have a strong ally, a constant ally in the United States of America. America, my friends, is pursuing a forward strategy of freedom in the Middle East, President Bush said. The vision of the United States of a free and democratic Middle East cannot be realized if Lebanon, the oldest democracy in the region, is turned into an autocracy. Besides, a free and democratic Lebanon will be a catalyst for all freedom-loving people in the Middle East, for minorities, for all those being persecuted based on race, religion, or ethnicity, to obtain their natural rights in their native countries. We, the Lebanese Americans and Middle Eastern Americans, are appreciative of the administration's stance during the past few months on Lebanese issues in particular. The signing of the Syria Accountability and Lebanese Sovereignty Restoration Act, the issuing of the presidential executive order promising to prosecute individuals who contribute to the Syrian occupation of Lebanon, the statements made by the President that the people of Lebanon should be free to determine their own future without foreign interference or domination, the repeated declarations of U.S. officials in support of Lebanese sovereignty and right to self-determination, and the efforts made at the United Nations to secure a resolution to help Lebanon regain its independence. All are welcome steps among our community, among the Middle Eastern American community, and among the people of Lebanon and the Middle East. So my dear friends, as long as our nation, the United States of America, is on the side of liberty, as long as the free world is committed to defend human dignity, as long as there are people like you determined to stand for justice, we can all feel confident that freedom is coming to the Middle East. Democracy will be restored in Lebanon. Human rights will be respected. Minorities will be safe. Religious beliefs will be honored. Peace will prevail. The Arab-Israeli conflict will be resolved. Palestinians and Israelis will live side by side. And terrorism and evil in this world will be defeated. This is the calling of America. This is the calling of mankind. God save Lebanon. God help the Middle East. And God bless America. Thank you.